It looks like because that scene makes the fans think that Tarakajima is working for him, even though it's not. You guys know who it really is in the film. And second of all, when there was a difference of, I found out the difference of the heart-like colors of Tarakajima when Bakam opened up one of the Matoran pods inside. Tarakajima was seen sleeping in there, had a yellow heart light. When Pterodax was posing Tarakajima, he had a red heart light. Right. Right. That's merely so the scene where he's talking to himself in the wall was merely inaccurate because it makes it look like he's working for him, even though it's not. Right. A Taraga would not work for evil forces. You're supposed to. You could have at least. Because if you're supposed to say the Tarakajima is merely convinced that the Darkin is a good, the Tarakajima is merely convinced that the Darkin is a good guy, did not capture Lee Khan. Just don't put that scene in, so that way it makes it look like he's working for evil. Make it look like he's influenced. Make it look like he feels a bit convinced. If it's gonna make it look like he's convinced by the darkness. If you're gonna make it more accurate, the Pterodax was actually posing him. Until then, when the Tower found the gateway to find Lee Khan's location, his Falcony Bork would have then flied his way to Pterodax, which then reveals the climax that they actually fell for a villain, and they actually fell for a villain's plot. And Lee Khan was one of the two I never heard of throughout the course of 2004. That's because I wasn't aware, wasn't able to get the comics back then. Until now, I got all the Metro Nui comics. I can read them any time. And exactly how I found, and exactly when I was young, I wasn't aware this took place. This one storyline took place 1,000 years. But until when I was able to read the PDF pages in the former Bionicle.com archive site, you know, the one that has all the 2001 to 2006 media before it got cut down since 2009. The archives, which they call the archive site, when the main site was a hit since 2007 with the Baraki all the way up to Glatorian when the thing is gone. That site, when I went to PDFP, the archive site, when I went to the Wikipedia page, at the beginning half of the comic, Discs of Danger showed Taraga Bakam raising his arms, talking to the Tonu and Takanu about his story Metro. It was like, now I get it. This took place 1,000 years before. This took place long before 2001, and according to the Behind Sector, it took place 1,000 years. Which I then see why in the third draft Pterodax escaped, which we'll go over about that film later. And something about the third film, which I could reveal why, but I have to do something first. Yes. And first time I've heard of when I saw Lee Khan, I accidentally mistook him to be Toa Jala. But according to the film, he had another name. I was like, what? But until like the idea, I found it took place 1,000 years. It was according to the comic, Just a Danger, when I was able to look on Wikipedia pages. On PDF pages. Lee Khan is another guy. He first wore that Kanoe Howard 2 vent holes. The 2 vent holes that Jala's mask used to be in Mask of Light. Right. Whereas according to set wise of Jala, he had 3 vent holes. The vent holes, you know, like well, I could bring the mask shielding, but I gotta find that first. 1 minute, please. Sorry about that. Putting the camera to make it look all black. But beneath the eyes, you can see like 3 vent holes, like 1, 2, 3. Whereas Lee Khan had 2 vent holes in Jala, and it looked a bit catchy when they in the scene where they transformed to Taraga, because they needed to end it with the 3 virtues, which it could explain later, is that you can see that Jala once wore a red komau sitting in his Matoran, but broken half. I think it's because one of the pods that, you know, in the final battle against between Pterodax and the Tometru, one of the pods, when Matau accidentally got tilted by those giant water molded pillars, is one of the pods began to fly off, floating into the ocean, and the Tometru were trying to rescue those pods, which you know, like the one where they missed out one of the pods and Pterodax was able to corrupt one of them, that kind of idea. One of the parts that must have drifted in the Silver Sea, that fell and floated on the Silver Sea, might have an explanation why the former mask of Jarl which is the Koma, broke in half, and in exchange, he's got the Lee Khan's mask as Lee Khan technically gave it to which Lee Khan gave to Vakama to remember him before his death. And the favorite part about the Great Disc storyline is that I would have preferred if they did do a Tormentor. They added at least 4 minutes of the Tormentor versus Mabuzak storyline after finding the Great Discs. Then after the Mabuzak story, then they hit to the Colosseum where the Pterodactyl author engineered the arrest of the Toa. While he cost him up to Ragaduma, I would at least prefer to see that, so that we get to see the transition of the Great Disc storyline, where they were found in the Metros, helped to defeat Mabuzak, then Vakama merged them, which turned out to be the Disc of Time. When I was young, I found out when he quoted one of these great discs has got to be the Mask of Time in his head. That leads me to think combining them might be the explanation that they evolve into a Disc of Time. I was wondering, did he make the Vi out? Did he make the Mask of Time out of those of the discs that he combined the Great Discs with? But on the Bionic Sector 01, yes, he did. Yes, the Great Discs did merge into the Disc of Time. Then Vakama wore the mask and inactivated and channeled his power, but what, of course, because I was young and I wasn't aware, is that even Vakama is victimized by the mask's power. And the Vi fell to the sea, which we thought we'd never see it again. But exactly to that, in the House of Face storyline, how did Tao get the Mask of Time then? Of course, the Binding of Adventures 10 book that Greg wrote, somewhere that took place after the third draft storyline, he was able to retrieve it and the sea exposure, rusting it to orange. So we get to see much more of the evolution. And one thing that puzzled me is because Greg put the story on hold due to what happened since, like, if you read it in Wikipedia that Greg Farsday is busy on family obligations. Is what has now happened to the Mask of Time since after Voparak stole it in the Destiny War podcast? We haven't heard much of it since. And the favorite part about it is we get to see Vakama's transition from Matoran to Taraga. Matoran for the worked for their respective metros, transformed into Toa, with tasks and various missions, and the fact that the body parts change, like the Toa heads, like the Toa heads transformed into Toa heads, and then loop back to being Toa heads when they became Taraga. Of course, there was a missing transformation part, which we'll go over and wipe a shot, which is in the sequel to this one, and which we'll go over about the film review after. And the one thing that puzzled me is that when Mato activated the wings on his back, it looked when the scene when Mato hits that Taragaduma billboard, or a post or whatever, when the wings were activated, he exclaimed in excitement as if it was the first time he began flying with it. Even though before that he did fly with those wings before, such as during the search of the Great Disc and the fight against Mabuzak. I'm sure he would have used those wings to fly before. And the chute that Mato dove in to retrieve his Lemaitre Great Disc looked like he's not suffering, whereas according to the comic he was suffering. According to when you read the comic Disc of Danger and see the scene when Mato has to search for his Great Disc, you'll see why that. You see what I'm talking about? He sounds like he's going to suffer if he doesn't get out of there soon. But in this film, it doesn't look like he cares about that. And romantic ride drive. Originally, I thought they do have human emotions, but Greg says it's not canonical because they're not supposed to be human. They're not supposed to have a human emotion. The only thing that's human emotion about them is friendship and stuff, and what they call fawning relationship. And the Matoran pods that we saw, where the Matoran got developed and even Taragaduma got developed in, I had a feeling that that's what the Terminatroliths were supposed to be, because why? Because before the film came out, I almost noticed that the Terminatroliths, when they form a spherical shape, had Aquaman's image, and they put arrow lines represent, you can put them in there. I was like, seriously? And looking at the film, I was like, are they serious about doing that? But technically they are. The idea about this is, I think the Terminator top parts clipped together, forming spherical shape, it gave Greg an excuse to kind of play Matrix style out of it. What I mean by that is because I remember in Matrix, humans were dwelling in those giant pods hibernating to become inhabitants of the Matrix. But of course, these Matoran are not dreaming they're in Matrix. Pterodax is supposed to cleanse. What I found out is that Pterodax was supposed to cleanse their memories, so he could fill it with, he could fill it with corruption inside, which he did win according to the end of the Binding of Avengers 10 book. If you guys read that book, he did win by corrupting one of them. Since that one was missing. And the Colosseum, I thought, was going to have those two vent holes there, as if it's like three separate buildings, and you can see a bridge there. But actually, it's all in one building. I don't get. That leads me to think that I don't get why these things are there. And